Dr. Bravestone, I'm so glad I found you.
Of course you are, because of my reputation and my charisma.
You what?
Jumanji is finally breaking out of the game, and this time Dwayne Johnson, Kevin Hart, Karen Gillan, and Jack Black are not being controlled by anyone. The first trailer for Jumanji Open World reveals the biggest change in the modern franchise so far: the jungle. The creatures and the rules of Jumanji have invaded the real world, while the avatars have somehow become living people with personalities of their own. That immediately gives this sequel a very different energy. Welcome to the jungle, and the next level were built around ordinary people trapped inside digital bodies. The comedy came from watching teenagers and adults struggle to understand characters who were stronger, faster, and completely different from them. Open World removes that safety net. Now the avatars themselves are loose. The game is spreading and both realities may be in danger. The trailer directly continues the ending of the next level, where the broken game was accidentally reactivated. Lamore Mars returns as the repairman who unknowingly brings Jumanji back online. But instead of pulling players into a console, the game begins rewriting the world around them. We see jungle environments spreading through cities, dangerous animals appearing where they do not belong, and familiar locations transforming into new levels. That concept brings the series closer to the original 1995 Jumanji movie starring Robin Williams, where every roll of the board game released another threat into reality. Open World is combining that original idea with the avatar system from the newer films, Dr. Smolder Bravestone, Ruby Roundhouse, Franklin Mouse Finbar, and Professor Shelley Oberon are now physical characters who can meet the people who once controlled them. That creates one of the trailer's strangest and funniest ideas. The avatars seem to exist in a looping demonstration mode before new players connect with them. They repeat movements, lines, and poses as if they are waiting inside a character selection screen. The trailer also reveals that these characters have identities beyond the players who barred their be. Odis! Dwayne Johnson's Bravestone appears to have Spanish roots, expanding on earlier hints about his family. Karen Gillan's Ruby has a deeper natural voice than expected, while Jack Black's Shelley speaks with a British-style accent. These details remind us that Bravestone was never really Spencer. Ruby was never Martha, and Shelley was never Bethany. They were avatars with their own backgrounds, voices, and personalities. Open World can finally show us who they are when no one else is inside them. The new footage also gives supporting characters much larger roles. Maren Hinkle's Jonas appears to become the player connected to Bravestone. Alex Wolff's Spencer is linked to Ruby instead of returning to his old avatar. Dan Hildebrand's Donatas appears to control Shelley, while Jack Jukes Tyson connects with Mouse. That completely changes the group dynamic. The original players already understand Jumanji, but now they are either using different avatars or watching other people control the bodies they once knew. Bravestone may no longer behave like Spencer. Ruby may no longer reflect Martha. Mouse may not be Fridge's nervous opposite anymore. Spencer's connection to Ruby is especially interesting. He spent the previous movies depending on the confidence and physical power that came with Bravestone. Now he may be forced into an avatar whose abilities demand speed, precision, and a completely different kind of courage. The trailer's action looks much larger than before. The heroes race through collapsing environments, face creatures invading populated areas, and move between real-world locations being transformed into game zones. Instead of completing one fixed map, they may have to stop the entire world from becoming an endless Jumanji level. The title Open World supports that idea. In gaming, an open world allows players to move across a large environment instead of following one narrow path. Here, the title may be literal. Jumanji no longer has borders. Every city, road, building, and forest can become part of the game. That raises the most important question. If the game has entered reality, how do the heroes win? There may no longer be a console to destroy or a jewel to return. The rules could be changing as quickly as the world around them. The trailer also appears to treat this as the final adventure. Europe's The Final Countdown plays over the footage, and both Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart have previously suggested that the next movie could end this version of the franchise. If open world is truly the finale, bringing Jumanji into reality is the right move. The series cannot simply send the same characters into another jungle map. A final chapter needs to challenge everything they learned and combine the original film with the modern sequels that may explain the returning legacy characters. Bebe Neuwirth is expected to return as Nora Shepard, creating a direct connection to the original Jumanji story. Rhys Darby is back as Nigel, while Nick Jonas returns as Blain, and Danny DeVito is also part of the cast. Jake Kasdan returns as director after guiding both previous films. He is writing with franchise veterans Jeff Pinkner and Scott Rosenberg, giving the possible finale the same creative team responsible for the series' successful revival. That continuity matters because the modern Jumanji movie succeeded by balancing action with character comedy. The creatures and visual effects attracted audiences, but the real appeal came from the actors playing against type. Johnson played an insecure teenager pretending to be fearless. Hart became a confident athlete trapped in a smaller body. Gillan turned awkwardness into physical comedy, and Black repeatedly transformed his performance depending on who was controlling Shelley. Open world removes that exact formula. The actors now need to make the avatars entertaining without relying on another person inside them. That could be the movie's greatest risk and its biggest opportunity. The original Jumanji story was always about a game invading ordinary life. The recent sequels reversed the idea by sending people into the game. Open world finally brings both versions together. We have the real-world chaos of the Robin Williams movie, the digital avatars of Welcome to the Jungle, and a story that may reveal what happens when Jumanji is no longer a board game or a cartridge. But in entire reality, the emotional stakes still appear focused on Spencer, Martha, Fridge, Bethany, and their families. They are no longer simply trying to survive a level. They may be protecting the world they returned to while saying goodbye to the avatars that help them become different people. If this is the final movie, that farewell could give the franchise more emotional weight than audiences expect. The avatars were originally tools, but after 2 adventures, they became part of these characters' identities. Jumanji Open World arrives in theaters on December 25th. I want to know what you think about the first trailer. Is bringing the game into the real world the perfect way to end the modern series, or should the characters have returned to the jungle one final time? Either way, Jumanji is no longer waiting for someone to press start. The game is already running, and this time the entire world is playing.